Social Security has been a cornerstone of financial security for millions of Americans, especially seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income families. Yet, right now, the Social Security Administration, SSA, is undergoing some of the most significant and rapid changes in its history. Changes that could reshape how benefits are delivered, who gets access to help, and even how your personal information is managed. These changes are driven by a mix of new leadership, cutting-edge technology, controversial policy decisions, and a push for efficiency that raises serious questions about accessibility and privacy. The new leadership and its vision. Frank Pesignano takes the helm. One of the most striking shifts at the SSA is the appointment of Frank Pesignano as the new commissioner. Unlike many previous leaders who were longtime government insiders or career public servants, Pesignano comes from a distinctly different background: big finance and tech. Before taking the reins of the SSA, Pesignano was the head of a major payment processing company, a role that required navigating complex financial systems, deploying technology for efficiency, and handling enormous volumes of transactions every day. This move by the current administration, brought in by President Trump during his final term, reflects a deliberate pivot. The goal? To turn Social Security from a decades-old bureaucratic institution into a modern, tech-driven agency that operates more like a private sector business, leaner, faster, and less costly to run. Pesignano's mandate is ambitious: to digitize the system, reduce operational expenses, and stretch the limited funds further without immediately cutting benefits. But this digital transformation is far from a simple software upgrade. It involves rethinking how Social Security interacts with beneficiaries, how it protects sensitive data, and how it manages a workforce that has traditionally been deeply rooted in face-to-face service and paper documentation. Pesignano's approach blends innovation with urgency, aiming to build a system that can handle growing demand without the long wait times and inefficiencies that have plagued the agency for years. Enter DOGE, a new player in government efficiency. To implement this overhaul, Pesignano is collaborating closely with a relatively new and little-known entity called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. This group didn't exist before President Trump's last term and was partly inspired and supported by tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. DOGE was created to bring private sector methods and tech-driven solutions to federal agencies. Its mission is to identify waste, streamline operations, and implement high-tech fixes in traditionally slow-moving government offices. DOGE recruits engineers, data analysts, and technology experts, many from Silicon Valley and Wall Street, to diagnose problems and apply rapid solutions. At first glance, this might sound like the exact kind of innovation government agencies need. However, the reality is more complicated and controversial. DOGE's involvement in Social Security has sparked deep concerns from advocates, employees, and the public. Privacy under fire, data access, and legal battles. Perhaps most alarming to many is DOGE's access to the vast trove of personal and financial information maintained by the SSA. This data includes lifetime work credits, income histories, disability status, and benefit payments, all sensitive and critical details that directly impact millions of Americans' livelihoods. DOGE's aggressive data mining and usage practices raised serious red flags about privacy and legal compliance. A lower court ruled against DOGE, citing possible violations of federal privacy laws designed to protect citizens' information. However, in a surprising turn, the Supreme Court reversed this decision, giving DOGE the green light to continue its operations. This ruling effectively allows DOGE broader access to SSA databases, prompting worries about potential misuse, accidental leaks, or insufficient protections against cyber threats. When you consider the SSA's role in managing not just financial benefits, but also personal identities, the stakes couldn't be higher. Critics argue that this new openness could increase the risk of identity theft, fraud, and administrative errors that have real-world consequences. The urgency: why Social Security is changing. Now, to understand why these sweeping changes are being pushed through so aggressively, you need to look at the underlying financial pressures facing Social Security. For decades, the system has worked on a pay-as-you-go basis. Current workers pay payroll taxes that fund benefits for retirees and others. But demographic shifts are challenging this model. The U.S. population is aging rapidly, with baby boomers retiring en masse, increasing the number of beneficiaries. At the same time, birth rates are lower, and immigration patterns are shifting, meaning fewer workers are contributing. The result? The number of people drawing Social Security is growing faster than those paying in. Current projections warn that within the next decade, the Social Security trust funds could be depleted unless significant changes are made. Without reform, this could lead to automatic cuts in benefits or require massive tax increases, neither of which is politically popular or easy to enact. AI and automation: balancing efficiency and service. Quality. One of the most visible changes beneficiaries might notice is the dramatic increase in AI-powered automation handling their calls and requests. According to recent reports, about 44% of calls to the Social Security hotline are now answered by AI bots, a figure nearly double from just 1 year ago. The goal is to push that number above 50% soon. This shift promises shorter wait times, which is a real relief for many. Anyone who's tried calling Social Security knows how frustrating long hold times can be. The use of bots allows the agency to triage simpler inquiries quickly and route more complex issues appropriately. However, many users report mixed experiences with these AI systems. Some feel trapped in endless loops, unable to get a straight answer or access a human representative. Others find the automated menus confusing or insufficient when dealing with complex questions, like clarifying a benefits letter or resolving payment discrepancies. While AI can improve efficiency, critics warn that over-reliance on automation could degrade the quality of service, especially for vulnerable populations who rely on human empathy and clear communication. Access and equity. Who might get left behind? Perhaps the most significant challenge posed by the digital transformation is ensuring equitable access to Social Security services. Many routine transactions, such as updating direct deposit information or verifying identity, are now required to be completed online or by appointment. While this might be manageable for tech-savvy younger generations, it creates a real barrier for millions of older adults. Statistics show that nearly half of older Americans lack reliable internet access at home. Many don't have email addresses or smartphones, making it difficult to navigate digital systems. This digital divide raises critical questions. How will seniors without internet access manage their benefits? How will those uncomfortable with technology get help when the local offices are reduced or closed? These accessibility concerns highlight a broader tension between modernizing government services and ensuring that the most vulnerable don't get left behind. The SSA was built to protect people in need, especially seniors and disabled individuals, and any system changes must keep their needs front and center. Overpayment recovery. New rules and their impact. Another controversial aspect of the new Social Security landscape is the stricter rules around overpayment recovery. Overpayments happen when the SSA accidentally sends beneficiaries more money than they're owed. Previously, The agency capped recovery at 10% of future monthly payments to avoid causing financial hardship. The new policy raises that cap to as much as 50%, meaning half of a person's monthly benefits could be withheld to recoup overpayments. For those living on fixed incomes, this can be devastating. Losing half your check, especially over an error you didn't cause, can push people into financial instability. Advocates are sounding the alarm, calling for more compassionate policies that balance fiscal responsibility with the real-life consequences for Social Security recipients. A glimmer of hope. The Social Security Fairness Act. Amid these upheavals, there are some positive developments worth celebrating. One of the biggest recent wins is the passage of the Social Security Fairness Act, signed into law earlier this year. This bipartisan legislation addresses a long-standing issue that reduced Social Security benefits for certain public employees, like teachers, firefighters, and police officers, because of how their pensions interacted with Social Security calculations. Thanks to this new law, about 3 million people are now receiving higher monthly benefits, with some also getting retroactive payments dating back to January of last year. This change provides tangible financial relief and represents one of the rare moments where lawmakers from both sides found common ground to improve the system. The digital Social Security card. Convenience versus inclusion. One of the more visible modernization efforts launching soon is the digital Social Security card. Starting this summer, beneficiaries will be able to access a digital version of their Social Security card through the My Social Security website, making it easier to prove their identity without carrying around the fragile physical card. This innovation aims to simplify processes such as job applications, opening bank accounts, and other situations where Social Security numbers are required. It's part of the SSA's effort to streamline interactions and reduce fraud. But the digital card also raises concerns about exclusion. What about the millions who don't own smartphones or aren't comfortable using apps? How will they prove their identity or access their benefits? Ensuring the digital card complements, rather than replaces, traditional methods is key to preventing inadvertent barriers. Fraud prevention. Addressing a massive problem. Fraud and overpayments remain a huge challenge for Social Security. Last year alone, nearly $9 billion was lost due to overpayments and fraud, a staggering amount that impacts the agency's financial health and public trust. While some fraud is caused by identity theft or intentional deception, much of the problem stems from administrative errors and outdated processes. The SSA's modernization efforts, including the use of AI and tighter verification processes, aim to reduce fraud and save taxpayer dollars. Critics argue, however, that some solutions are like using a sledgehammer to fix a screw. For example, direct deposit fraud accounts for less than 1% of errors, but is one of the main drivers behind the harsh recovery policies. This raises questions about whether the agency is focusing on the right problems or inadvertently punishing honest beneficiaries. The bigger picture. Modernization without leaving anyone behind. At its core, the overhaul of the Social Security Administration reflects a deeper question facing governments everywhere. How do we bring essential public services into the digital age without sacrificing the people who rely on them most? Social Security isn't just another agency, it's a critical support system for seniors, disabled Americans, and those living on fixed incomes. As leaders push for modernization, introducing artificial intelligence, digital ID cards, and tech-driven efficiency, the real challenge is ensuring no one gets left behind. Millions of Americans, especially older and low-income individuals, still face barriers to internet access, digital literacy, or trust in automated systems. Streamlining systems may save time and money, but if the human element disappears, those most in need risk being shut out. Moving forward, The key will be to balance cost-saving innovations with fairness, transparency, and accessibility.